side because there's no rest in the ACC. Duke comes into the Oakland Zoo, where Pitt's resurgence is spearheaded by a member of the Duke Brotherhood. Forget the family reunion tonight. Jeff Capel's Panthers have pulled upsets, and now they're hungry for a signature win. Welcome to Super Tuesday, presented by Moose Mobile. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Jeff Capel leading Pittsburgh and embracing with his former boss and his former coach, Mike Krzyzewski, Capel, former Duke point guard for the last 7 years. Krzyzewski's top assistant. They'll go head-to-head tonight in this ACC meeting. Glad to have you with us. Chris Davis, LaFonso Ellis. We're expecting a record crowd at the Peterson Event Center here in Pittsburgh tonight. Everybody knows about Duke's freshmen. Pitt also spearheaded by young guys.
Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowan formed the #2 scoring duo in ACC play. They'll be going up tonight against R.J. Barrett and Zion Williams, the #1 scoring duo in ACC play at 46 points per game. The duo that wins that matchup will likely win the game.
I'll tell you this, Fonz, in all honesty, the Oakland Zoo's been pretty tame the last couple of years, but it's alive tonight. Brooke Weisbro's in there someplace.
That's right, guys. This is the best student sections you will find in the country. The Oakland Zoo is loud. It's intimidating, and it could be just the key the Pittsburgh Panthers need to knock off #2 Duke here at home. So these guys promised me they were going to bring the juice all game long, be the sixth man the Panthers need, and just like Jeff Capel told his players today, it's 40 minutes, so they got to bring this same energy all game long.
Brooke, Pittsburgh's coming off an 0-18 ACC season, and Jeff Capel was quickly injected live. The students have gotten behind him. They arrived early. They've been making noise and trying to get under the Duke players' skin from the early moments. We could have 13,000 in here. The record crowd is 12,944. A lot of standing room only tickets, and there's some jumping room in the Oakland Zoo. Underway, and Zion Williamson, the sensation, wins the tip. And without Trey Jones again, the point guard who suffered a shoulder injury against Syracuse is still working through the recovery. R.J. Barrett, Cam Reddish will be running the show. Williamson almost turns it over, and here is R.J. Barrett, Duke's leading scorer, and he finds some friendly nighttime banking hours early.
Indeed. It's going to be one of the keys to this game. Pitt has to keep Duke out of the painted area. One of the best scoring teams in the nation in the paint.
Pittsburgh also very adept at driving the basketball. They've made more free throws than their opponents have attempted. One of their freshmen misses his first shot. That's Au'Diese Toney, Pittsburgh's top rebounder. They expect to get more scoring out of him as his career develops. He's one of 2 of the Pittsburgh freshmen finds who could have played another year of prep school ball. From the corner, off the feed from Williamson, Cam Reddish knocks down the 3.
And that's where Pitt's going to have to be very careful with their helps. You never want to help off the strong side corner, especially with an elite-level shooter like Cam Reddish.
Reddish is only 1 of 6 on threes against Virginia. And Duke as a team had trouble shooting threes. Pittsburgh tried to answer with one from their big man, Terrell Brown. And the Blue Devils off to a 5-0 starting with the ball. And Zion stepped on the sideline as Roger Ayers catches him. And there is Trey Jones, a freshman from Apple Valley, Minnesota, the younger brother of Tyus Jones, who was the most outstanding player in the Final Four in Duke's last national championship team in 2015.
Certainly missed his leadership on both the offensive and the defensive ends.
What a look inside from Xavier Johnson. The good defense on the interior by Duke, or at least a smart enough one to foul and prevent the easy basket. There is Mike Krzyzewski in his 39th season as the Duke head coach. He is 25-5 against his former assistant coaches. If you want to break that down further, he's 19-0 against all former assistants that don't go by the name of Mike Bray.
Wow. How about that? 5 NCAA titles, 91, 92, 01, 2010, 2015. What a career Coach K has had.
Terrell Brown gets Pittsburgh on the board. Sophomore big man, from the Tilton School in New Hampshire, hometown Providence, Rhode Island. He is an extraordinary shot blocker, and really the only one Pittsburgh has.
Yes, he's really come on in the last month. Real strong motor, blocking shots, as you mentioned, third in the league in the ACC in shot blocks at 3.5 per game.
Pitt shows a little pressure and drops back. Here's Williamson. Reddish. Rims out. Look at Marquise Bolden going in there, and Brown tried to block the shot, but he'll be called for the foul. Bill Covington calling that foul. Roger Ayers, Bill Covington, John Gaffney, our officiating crew tonight. And Bolden hits the free throw. Decent free throw shooter. This Duke team is not good as a team, but for a big man, Marquise hits about 68%. That is the one area that potential, that and three-point shooting, potential causes for concern for Duke. They get deeper into this ACC season and head toward the postseason, but Marquise makes them both, and the Blue Devils are up by 5 in the early going.
Watch a lot of high ball screen action from Pitt. They especially want to get Zion Williamson out on the floor away from the weak side because of his shot blocking ability.
Oh, these Tony missed, and Brown does not. Zion lost a handle on it, gets it back. Jack White. And his struggles from three continue, but Zion's there to clean it up.
When that ball goes up for Duke, you gotta find bodies. That's 2 offensive rebounds now for the Duke Blue Devils.
They're top 10 in the country in offensive rebound percentage. And if you've got an over-under on dunks, there's number 1 for Zion tonight.
Indeed.
Xavier Johnson goes all the way to the bucket. Both he and Trey McGowan's great at drawing fouls and getting to the bucket. We look at the putback.
So good at getting in the lane, but when that basketball goes up, look, no one really gets a body on Zion Williamson. You almost have to face guard him, because if he gets a full head of steam going to the basket, you have no shot. What a nice putback by number 1 in black.
Xavier Johnson gets it over Zion.
Xavier Johnson, number 1 in white. Trey McGowan's number 2 in white are excellent at getting downhill in the painted area and can finish with either hand.
As you mentioned, Vons, in ACC play, both of them averaging right around 19 per game, and Bolden goes down. I think we're going to get a foul on the inside for knocking Marquise's legs out from under.
Yeah, Malik Ellison, number 3 in white, was trying to basically box him out. And when you box, you got to hold it. He rooted him out a little too far there.
Another Duke Pitt connection, at least in terms of a Duke connection. Malik Ellison is the son of Purvis Ellison.
Never nervous.
Led Louisville to the national championship in 1986 over Duke. R.J. Barrett, it rattles out. Ellison on the push. We'll see who touched it, and it'll be Duke ball.
Yeah, that's been one of the key issues for this Pittsburgh team is turnovers. 14 turnovers per game. Got to take care of the basketball against this Duke team, especially in that area. Duke is number 5 in the nation in transition points per game at 25 points. You've got to take care of the basketball against the Blue Devils.
Johnson picking up Barrett in the backcourt. Not necessarily the, he can play the point, but they're used to having Trey Jones do it. Zion with a head of steam. And 1. Zion Williamson. We had a look there briefly at the graphic as Zion gets ready to try to complete the 3-point play, and the second foul on Terrell Brown. Let's look at this first, Fonz.
Yeah, when he gets in space, Zion Williamson, you have to get there early. A lot of teams teach their players to get outside of the lane line. You got to get all the way to his body, because once he gets ahead of steam, whether it's 1 bounce, 2 bounces, it's way too late. He's too powerful, too strong, and can finish, as you saw on that play.
Zion was only 7 of 14 from the free throw line against Virginia. That was about the only thing he could quibble over. He dominated that game for long stretches. Trey McGowens takes the miss, and he's on the push. McGowens goes in with the left hand, and he'll have a chance for a three-point play.
Folks, we just talked about the ability of Xavier Johnson, number 1, and Trey McGowens, number 2. This time is Trey McGowens. The ability to get in the lane, draw contact. He's only a freshman, folks, and able to finish it over the top with his offhand. What an impressive play by Trey McGowens.
And a rarity for McGowens. He's a very good free throw shooter at 78%, but Pitt gets it back.
Pitt's got to continue to attack the lane. Get number 1 and number 2, Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowens down in the painted area.
And some guys come in off the bench. Jared Wilson-Frame is into the game. McGowens is wide left on the 3. Alex O'Connell is checked in for Duke. Kenneth Chukwuka is in also for the Panthers. Zion's taking a break right now. Javin DeLaurier also on the floor for the Blue Devils. Tony pulls it away for the Panthers.
I like the last 3 defensive possessions by Pitt, forcing Duke to shoot perimeter jump shots. That's not their strength.
Wilson-Frame with a 3, his 28th straight game with a triple, and we're tied at 11 in the early going.
40 of his 66 field goal attempts or made field goals have been 3s. Got to get out and make him put it on the floor.
Reddish drives, has it knocked away and recovers. Shot clock now inside 10.
Duke's got to get down in that painted area, either off the bounce or off the pass.
Forced shot late. DeLaurier tries to get it back, and Javin, who fouled out in 7 minutes against Virginia the other night, picked up his first one.
Sometimes you need senior leadership when you're playing against a great team. Jared Wilson-Frame, the senior, steps up, knocks down a huge 3 from the corner.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Boost Mobile. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching makes it easy to save.
And as Jeff Capel in his playing days, that famous shot at the end of the first overtime of the Duke-Carolina game in 1995 sent it to a second OT. Duke was enduring a rough season. Coach K had to leave with health issues that year, and Jeff was leading the team. Carolina won that game by a deuce. Jeff was talking today about how, at least in the pre and post game, it would be emotional to see Mike Krzyzewski, but said once we tipped it off, he'd just be trying to figure out how to help his team deal with this really talented Duke squad.
He said he'd be locked in and focused. Coach K told us the same thing about Jeff Capel.
Audis Tony, who worked on that shot for quite a while in the pregame, couldn't get it to go. Ball is knocked out of bounds, and Brooke, the relationship between the two, you could sense the difficulty for Mike Krzyzewski in the pregame, too, of going against his former assistant and player.
Yeah, no doubt. He shared with us how hard it is for him to block this out. But, of course, Jeff Capel scored over 1,600 career points at Duke, and he's now one of 6 former Duke players under Coach K, who's a Division I head coach. And we talked to Coach K and asked him, what qualities, what velocities do you see in you in any of these other head coaches? And he said, I don't hire anybody unless they're going to be a head coach one day. So Nate James, Chris Carrawell, Nolan Smith, John Shire, these guys are all in training to lead a program one day.
They're getting excellent training for sure. Seeing guys that are having some success. Look, this is not Jeff's first rodeo.
Right.
He did a good job at VCU and Oklahoma before it got a little sideways there at the end.
130 games.
With his sign. They still know each other, I think. I like the song reference, though.
130 games, one of his years in Oklahoma. Did a nice job there.
At Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
Working on the inbounds. There's Zion. Former Coach K players who are currently head coaches. The great Johnny Dawkins, who was in that first great recruiting class that Mike got in the early 80s. Tommy Amaker came right after that. Hurley, Collins, both doing tremendous jobs. Woj, as you mentioned, at Marquette. Tony again trying at that corner, and Audis can't quite get it to go. And Reddish and pull it out of there.
Yeah, I like what Pitt has done so far defensively. They forced this Duke team to be a primarily jump shooting team, and that's not their strength. 1 of 5 from 3 so far in this game, and they're 31% on the season. Duke's got to get that basketball either in the post or drive it to the basket.
Finds if they finish as a 31% three-point shooting team, it would be the worst ever for Duke. They can do this. They can shoot twos, and Marquise Bolden off a great feed from Barrett.
And that's where it is for Duke, is they're much better when they're on the attack or posting Zion. Used a high ball screen there and dove Marquise Bolden, get it to him on the interior. They need more of that.
Little step back, Wilson frame again.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Jared Wilson frame is in the right frame of mind right now.
We got a whistle. And the foul is called on Wilson frame. Look at this step back.
It's incredible. Sick. Jared Wilson frame is the best outside shooting threat on this Pitt team, and he's off to a great start. We talked about how important it was for Duke to get that basketball in the painted area, either off the pass or off the bounce. That time off the pass. Well done by the Blue Devils.
Blue Devils may have trouble from behind the arc, but they're third in the country, shooting 59% from inside it. And that's where Cam Reddish is. He misses that one. Zion gets it back.
But notice nobody on Zion Williams. You gotta get a body on the big man or he will eat you up on the interior. That's now his second offensive rebound put back in this game.
Zion up to 8 points. And Duke has taken a 17-16 lead. Well, what a weekend we have coming up for you. Sonic Blockbuster on ESPN. 2 winningest programs in the history of the sport, Kansas and Kentucky, in the 6th annual SEC Big 12 Challenge is on the ESPN app. You can watch it anywhere. KU's won the last 3 over UK and 6 of 9 under Bill Self. College Game Day will be there 11 a.m. Eastern time. You know, we once went there for College Game Day, and they put more than 22,000 in the seats for the show.
Wow.
If they want to accept that as a challenge to top it or match it, I would say that's okay. Go right ahead.
I've only ever called 1 game there, Reese, and the game that I had there, and they were there probably 90 minutes, the fans, before the game began, and they were doing that Rod, Chaw, Jayhawk.
Well, now, this game's at Rupp.
Oh, that is, that's right.
Yeah.
Rupp is one of the loudest arenas I ever had the chance to play in, by the way.
I'll tell you this. All due respect to Cameron, which is awesome, and it was tremendous on Saturday night. I think Fog Allen Fieldhouse is the best place to see a college game. But any place that R.J. Barrett plays is a good place to go. As he puts Duke up by 3.
Think about that a little bit. Cameron was great when I was in college, but Rupp Arena gets awfully loud.
No, I'm not saying it's necessarily the loudest. I mean, all-encompassing.
Gotcha.
Wilson frame has to avoid Zion, and now he can't avoid Jordan Goldwire, who's into the game. The steal, missed a layup. Jack White flying in there, and Pitt's coming the other way. Kicking it back. That's a good idea when it's Wilson frame, but he can't get that one. Tip back. McGowan's has it. And Pitt with an offensive board. This is not a big Pittsburgh team, but they're fighting. On the board, Xavier Johnson going in, gets a shot blocked, and it'll be Duke basketball. Jeff Capel told his team they had to fight every possession. So far, so good for the Panthers, who are hanging in. And here at the Peterson Event Center, Brookheim.
Welcome back to Pitt, and just like the Oakland Zoo, it's one of the most unique spots in the country. I'm here suite side, and not only do you get to watch the game in here, but you get to enjoy all the goodies that come along with it. I'm with my friend Nick here. Nick, what's on the menu tonight? We got steak egg rolls and quiche rolls. They're amazing. All right, that sounds pretty good. So you can enjoy the game, you can get something to eat, and you can go from courtside, suite side to courtside. Let's go watch the game, Nick. Let's check it out. All right, check out the view out here. This is pretty nice, Nick. And not only that, we get to watch the game, but you also get a view of Jay-Z. You think we'll get a free show at halftime?
It doesn't get any better than this. It's all about Pitt. Jay-Z comes for the greatest stage, and Pitt is it.
Love it. Thank you, Nick.
With all due respect, there might be a few fellas wearing the Duke black jerseys right now that Jay-Z could be interested in seeing, including Zion Williamson, who's made all 5 of his field goal attempts, including that 3 to go into double figures with 11. Jay-Z, among his many ventures, is now a certified agent, so with Rock Nation Sports, so I would imagine there are a number of players that will be attractive to his group.
I thought he was here to see you.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
I did take note that he was alone. I mean, he had friends, but I was looking in his party particularly to see if he someone with him. He did not. R.J. Barrett.
And that was a forced shot there.
Chukwuka in and grabs a rebound for Pittsburgh. He's gotten some extended minutes here in the first half with Terrell Brown picking up a couple of early fouls. And Malik Ellison is going to be called for that one. That is Malik's second foul. So now a couple of Panthers have 2. Jared Wilson frame goes back to the scorer's table. So too does Xavier Johnson to return. City and Deer will have a seat. And so too will Ellison with those 2 fouls.
Yeah, Pitt has to continue to keep Duke out of the painted area on the defensive end, get them back to shooting jump shots, and somebody's got to keep Zion Williamson off the glass.
Barrett lines up a 3, and he banked one from the lane earlier. This time he banked it from outside the 3. I'm not sure he called the second one.
I don't think he did.
You know, RJ's a good shooter. He just hadn't necessarily shot well from behind the arc lately. Just 1 of 6 against Virginia.
Yeah.
So sometimes one like that will get you going a little bit. Good idea by Aldis Toney, but Jordan Goldwire was a step ahead of him and makes the steal for the Blue Devils. Good look from Goldwire to Barrett. And Zion is there to clean it up. 6 for 6 for Zion Williamson. And have not been able to keep him off the glass, Franz. And just like that, the Blue Devils have stretched the lead to 11. This is what Duke can do to you. It can score quickly, a 12-0 run just over 3 minutes. It's also a very good defensive team, much better when Trey Jones is on the floor. But even without him, they've been effective tonight. Zion has been terrific, making all 6 of his shots, including a 3. He's been on the offensive glass. And the Blue Devils have pushed it out to a double-figure lead, and the Panthers could use a bucket.
Zion's been phenomenal, averaging 22 points on the year, but 31 points per game over the last 2, including 35 against the Cuse.
Xavier Johnson has been pretty quiet in scoring. He kicks it to his freshman running mate in the backcourt. Laurier and Chukwuka were fighting for the rebound, and Kenner was the last to touch it, and it'll be Duke's ball.
And when you get those wide open looks on the weak side of the floor against Duke, you've got to be able to make those shots as Pitt goes into a little full court contained pressure here.
2-2-1, is that designed largely to make him eat some shot clock and then hopefully make him execute in the half court? Barrett changes hands inside. Javin DeLaurier fighting with Wilson Frame for the rebound. And it's going to be a tie-up. And it'll be Pitt's basketball, the possession arrow belonging to the Panthers.
To answer your question, is both.
Yeah.
To take some precious seconds off of the shot clock, but at the same time, this Pitt team's really good at turning you over and getting out in transition as well.
Johnson with a good look. Chukwuka gets it blocked by DeLaurier.
When Chukwuka catches that on the interior, he's got to go up right away. Hesitated there, and that's why it got blocked.
Goldwire puts it up high for DeLaurier. If they could have connected there, Javin would have tied the ACC record with his 20th consecutive made field goal.
He would have been tied with Ala Abdelnaby.
Ala Abdelnaby currently holds that record. We ran through all of them on College Game Day Saturday, and only one of Javin's 19 consecutive makes has been anything other than a putback dunk or layup. He had a little spinning hook in there. And Chukwuka again having trouble catching it and getting it up in the middle of that Duke defense. Wilson frame, got it back. Made noise from three and now does it on the drive and on the loose ball bucket.
Yeah, and the way he got that offensive rebound and went back up with the Jared Wilson frame is the same way Chukwuka's got to do it when he catches it on the interior. I think he's a little nervous playing against the Duke Blue Devils right now.
The Panthers' first field goal in more than 5 minutes. A long three ball goes down for Reddish. And with his second three of the night.
Yeah, Coach Capel talked about that in the shoot-around this afternoon, is as they're containing, trying to keep the ball away from that elbow area, you have to be aware of where Cam Reddish is on the floor. Lost complete sight of him, which is why he was able to get that wide-open three from the top.
Duke has hit 4 of his first 8 threes. On the drive is Xavier Johnson. They need him to get going. That was just his second bucket for the freshman from Woodbridge, Virginia, who averages 17 a night.
And that's Pitt's game, attacking off the bounce. Got to reverse the basketball and look to drive it. I'd like to see them get out in transition after some missed baskets as well.
Right at the elbow, R.J. Barrett is the bucket.
Coach Capel can't be happy. He can't be happy about that. They talked about that for 8 minutes today in the shoot-around, not allowing that basketball to go into the elbow area, particularly against the zone.
But things move a lot faster when the game starts than in shoot-around. A lot faster, you know? Sometimes it's harder to do, Coach.
How about how good Zion Williamson has been? He's been everywhere on the offensive glass, driving and drawing contact, and it's not his forte necessarily. Look at him on the glass and gets a wide open three, step back, drills it from the corner. Zion Williamson on a roll.
Let's take a look at who's flipping the switch, brought to you by Boost Mobile. The ACC Freshman of the Week for the 3rd time is Zion Williamson. He has 13 quick points tonight, and he stepped up his game in ACC play, Fonz, and particularly over the last week.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. 31 points per game over the last 2. We talked about the 35 that he had in the loss to Syracuse. Then bounced back and had 27 in the win over UVA, including 2 made 3-point shots.
Knocked down another 3 tonight. Sidian Deer, the graduate transfer from New Mexico State, had the ball. Here's Xavier Johnson getting into the paint. That's his strong suit. X marks the spot.
More of it from Pitt. Jump shots aren't their game. They've got to continue to attack off the bounce.
Reddish picked it up. Zion was in trouble for a moment, but Duke kept the ball moving, did it well. Barrett couldn't get it to go. Another offensive rebound for the Blue Devils.
That's the 8th offensive rebound now for the Blue Devils. 11 points off of those.
Wilson frame, junior college transfer from Hartford, Connecticut. Played at Northwest Florida State. Showing he has a little muscle. Terrell Brown's back in the game. He lined up the open three. Couldn't get it to go. Terrell's tried a couple of those tonight. He's only tried 3 all year. Prior to tonight. High handoff. Zion goes up and gets it and scores.
And that's the one thing against Duke that you have to take away. You have to be up and in the basketball, taking away vision. They're so tall on the perimeter that they can see the weak side of the floor. Breakdown there by Pitt.
You watched the Earn Everything series on ESPN Plus. You saw that Duke had to modify their vertical jump and put the measuring apparatus on weights to get it high enough to mark it for Zion. Xavier Johnson has awakened. He now has 8 points. Panthers can get Trey McGowan's going with him. They can hang in this thing. Reddish misses the 3. There's Williamson again. And Williamson puts it home. And he'll have a chance for the 3-point play and make it 8 for 8 from the floor for Zion Williamson.
Yeah, the inability to find Zion when that basketball goes up. He's so quick to the offensive glass. You got to turn around and face guard him. No one gets a body on him, really, and he gets inside, draws the contact, and finishes around the rim. There have been several breakdowns on the defensive end, particularly on the offensive glass for Pitt in this game.
Well, the only thing Williamson hasn't done tonight is make a free throw. He's Missed his only opportunity. I was all ready to say now he's done that too, but he left it on the front of the rim. So just give it back to him in here. And he's got to Delorier. Oh, and Delorier missed. That was for the ACC record tying field goal.
Wow, so close.
A tough break for Javin. Yes. This is a good look from Williamson. Reddish to steal, Jack White. And White fouled on the floor. I think the fans anticipated they were about to get a travel call, but Jack was fouled on his way to the basket. Wednesday night, our Thursday night showcase, #1 Notre Dame taking on the Lady Vols, 7 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. The Irish had to come from 23 down in South Bend to come back and win last year against the Lady Vols. Hall of Famer Muffet McGraw and her team still rolling.
For Tennessee to have any chance of winning that game, they've got to slow down that high-octane offense of Notre Dame. 88 points per game was third most in Division I.
There's Coach K. Jack White. Jack White's been struggling shooting from the perimeter of late. Came into this game having made one of his last 17 three-pointer attempts, low-lighted by the 0 for 10 night against Syracuse, but played well against Virginia in other areas, gave him some energy, still averaging 6 rebounds a game.
To your point, he brings such great energy, dives on the floor for loose balls, and very valuable to this group.
Simeon Deer!
Bro, did you see that? That might be the most incredible miss I've seen this year. Oh my gosh! What a drive baseline!
They said Pitt had to be fearless, Collins.
Oh my gosh! Oh.
Dude, are you?
All right, guys, and the Duke freshmen are dominating, particularly #1 Zion Williamson.
He's been magnificent in every phase of the game. We've seen him drive it to the basket. He's been excellent on the offensive end. As Jay Williams said, he has 4 offensive rebounds in this game. He's been magnificent.
Was City and Deer, who's at the free throw line, made the first one. My goodness, the baseline drive. He only makes 1 of 2. But he almost went all Zion with an Instagram-worthy dunk. My, he was flying and drew the foul from Javin Delorier to stop what would have been a spectacular slam.
He almost endeared himself to Javin Delorier.
Or made a poster for life.
Right? Really, that's the most incredible missed dunk I've seen this year.
Shot clock at 4. Marquise Bolden. And put up the air ball. Jack White, Trey McGowan's tangled up underneath. No harm, no foul. Just a shot clock violation on the Blue Devils.
Another good possession defensively there for Pitt. Now Pitt's got to get down this end of the floor, reverse the basketball, and look to drive it. They've been so good when they've been able to get into the painted area.
You know, that's let's see what they're talking about. Bill Covington Jr. and Roger Ayers, soon to be joined by John Gaffney. Coach K thinks the ball should belong to Duke. I thought they got the shot clock violation.
I thought so too, yeah.
Let's see, John. Maybe I'm sure they're going to look to see if the ball hit the rim, and it should have been a fresh shot clock. Trying to read Rogers' lips from here. John Gaffney's coming over now. Ball did hit the rim, but he's saying they didn't blow, they blew the whistles, hit that possession of the ball, so it's as we expect. It's not a shot clock violation, but Pitt's ball nonetheless.
Reese, against this 2-3 zone of Duke, that ball's got to touch that ACC area for Pitt and then look to attack from there.
And they've got guys who can drive it, though. The Syracuse zone gave them problems on Saturday. Duke's sitting in the zone now. Xavier Johnson has it wiped away by Marquise Bolden. Barrett. On the push, loses it out of bounds. It'll be Pittsburgh's ball. You know, Pittsburgh's top 15 in the country in field goal defense. And this is a good defensive team that Capel puts on the floor. Duke shot it well here in the first half against it.
Well, you can see the retreat and how dialed in this very young Pitt team is. Usually when R.J. Barrett gets out in transition, it's a bucket. They did a nice job of walling up, making him go to the right side of the floor, which is something they talked about in shoot-around this afternoon.
I think John Gaffney was having some problems with his whistle. Maybe needed a new P in the whistle.
Yeah. Look at those defensive numbers there.
I think we all know how painful that can be.
Indeed. Fifth in the ACC in opponents' field goal percentage. Third opponents' three-point percentage. Pitt doing a nice job on the defensive end of the floor this season.
Johnson turns it over. Here comes Williamson again, and Johnson tried to poke it away, and Bolden is fouled by Endear as he tried to go in for the dunk. Now, ESPN and the ACC will bring you the ACC Network in August. 15 universities, one network. Visit getaccn.com to learn more. In late August, the ACC Network is going to launch with the national champion Clemson Tigers taking on Georgia Tech on a Thursday night.
Dabo Sweeney.
That's your guy. You said you haven't met Dabo before. I need to arrange that for you.
I'd love to meet Dabo. Love how he runs his program. Love his faith. Give him a big old hug. Monster.
Dabo let you go down that slide, too, at the Clemson football facility. They got a big slide.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
Is that?
Yeah. Also got a golf simulator, nap room, movie theater.
I look forward to
everything a Division I athlete could want.
Come on now.
Pretty much like they have at Duke. Great facilities here at Pittsburgh, too.
Yes.
Bolden makes one of two, 14-point lead for the Blue Devils. Inside 2.5 to play in the first half. There's a double dribble. Wilson Frame knew it.
Yeah, Zion Williamson kind of hedged over a little bit when he was going to make the pass, and he wanted to try to catch it to keep him going, turning that basketball over.
7th turnover for Pittsburgh.
It's a really small lineup on the floor right now for Pitt. If I'm Duke, I'm driving it or throwing that thing in the post.
That's all really Pitt has. Chukwuka and Brown are the only guys who play are over 6'6", and Chukwuka really hasn't played much lately until tonight. Zion goes to the bucket, and he's just unstoppable. He's a perfect 9 for 9.
Well, when you have a small lineup on the floor like that, we just talked about that. That ball's got it. You got to put that thing on the floor and go to the basket. Good decision there by Zion Williamson.
Williamson already 1 point short of his 11th 20-point game of the season. We're not yet at halftime.
Yes, that was a settle there by Trey McGowan's.
Trey tried to get going. He's only got 4 points in this first half. Williamson spins into the lane, and they're going to call him for the offensive foul. That is something that Pittsburgh has done very well, is draw offensive fouls. That's his second with the possession before checking out foul.
Yeah, this small lineup on the floor, a little change of speed, change of direction behind the back. And how about that, man? For a guy that size, able to handle the rock that way and finish over the top, that is impressive. Tell you what, I've said it before, Reese. He's my favorite basketball player in all of college basketball, not only because of his talent, but that dude plays hard. Reminds me a lot of my favorite NBA player in terms of the intensity that he plays with, which is Russell Westbrook.
He's got a similar type of charisma about him, too. Chukwuka can't get the tip, and here come the Blue Devils up by 16 with the ball just over a minute to play in the first half. Pitt has played hard here in the first 20 minutes, but candidly, they've just been overmatched at times, mostly by number 1. Shot clock at 5. Barrett's going to have to let it go, and instead he gets bailed out with a foul. Capel is frustrated. a foul was called on Xavier Johnson. It's his first.
Xavier had him in the perfect position, too. Took away his left hand, making him spin back. And that's exactly what you want to do against a left-handed player, because when they turn back, now that ball's right in front of your face and you can challenge. Mistake there, fouling him that far away from the basket.
Capel got a little wound up with John Gaffney, and he said he was sorry. I'm not sure he's really that sorry. You know, Jeff told us today that when he came in here as a Duke assistant the last time, that he got teed up as an assistant, and I think Roger Ayers just hit him with one as a head coach here in Pete, so that gives him the complete set.
Jeff Capel still going off over there on the sideline. You know what, though, Reese? I love it, because when you're a new coach and you got new players, you're trying to establish trust with your players. He thought that Xavier Johnson, #1 in white, made a good defensive play. And I tell you what, that goes a long way of building a more intimate level of trust between a player and the coach.
Barrett misses the second. The tee, he'll stay up there. Still has one left from the foul. .18 Blue Devil lead. This capacity crowd at the Pete. Already seen their team upset. 11th ranked Florida State was hoping for a huge one tonight. There's still 20 minutes to play, but it's quite a mountain to overcome with the second ranked team in the country, and some would say the best team in the country, up by 19 on the road. Audice Tony inside, and Bolden's going to be called for the foul.
Well, Coach K called that 2-3 zone, and once they went to the 2-3 zone, it took away Pitt's strength, which is putting the basketball on the floor and attacking the basket. So good X's and O moves there by Coach K.
That's the first foul on Marquise, and now Coach K is pleading his case to the gentleman in stripes. Tony missed the free throw. And Duke's going to use the timeout. Final half-minute of the half. Oh, we got a blockbuster on Saturday night. Kansas and Kentucky from Rupp.
This is Wildcat Pride.
Hold up, let me get up in it now. I'm here to win it now.
But Kansas fears no cats. Lexington is ready for a battle of the Blue Bloods. Number 9, Kansas. Number 8, Kentucky. Saturday at 6 on ESPN.
That's Saturday prime time. College game day will be there Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time. The Sonic blockbuster. KU bounced back from that loss against West Virginia with a tough win last night against Iowa State, Fonz.
Yeah, part of that has been Dietrich Lawson. You can see there averaging 20 and 11 on the season, but with 29 points and 15 rebounds, and was 2 of 2 for the three-point line in the win over Iowa State the other night. Dietrich Lawson has been phenomenal.
And Kentucky is coming.
Yes.
Here come the Wildcats.
Here they come, indeed.
It's been hard to erase that memory of just getting obliterated by Duke in the opener. Yes. They have really, really improved. Takes a little time, Cal says.
Yeah. Tyler Hero had 20 in that last game against Auburn, which they won on the road.
3-second differential, shot clock and game clock here at the end of the first half. R.J. Barrett, Cam Reddish rattles out. And 3.2 left in the first half.
I'd pick up full court here and not allow the quick guards of Pitt to push that basketball up the floor. With 3.2 seconds, they could easily get up the floor and try to get a good look off.
Xavier Johnson with 8, Trey McGowan's with 4 in the first half. They'll need to get more out of McGowan's if they can in the second half, and Pitt's going to have a rally at home. Xavier has to let it fly. And, well, that happened in the Syracuse game. The long shot at the half. But here, Duke finishes the half on a 33-12 run. Pitt led by 2 with just under 14 and a half to go. But then Duke turned it on, and Brooke is with Jeff Capel.
Coach, you always talk about this game being a fight. Your guys did show up for a fight, and then Duke went on a run. What do you think happened?
You know, we can't score. They went to zone. We really struggled against it. We really struggled to score. And against this team, you have to be able to keep scoring.
Zion has not missed a single shot tonight. What do you do to get him to miss?
You know, we got to try to be a little bit more physical with him. You know, it's almost like we're respecting him a little bit too much. I don't mean that in a bad way, certainly not anything dirty, but we need to be a little bit more physical with him.
Thank you, Coach.
Easier said than done. Sometimes that's like throwing popcorn at a battleship. It just sort of bounces right off. Halftime here in Pittsburgh, Duke with the 44-25 lead. Let's go back to the studio. Adnan, Jay, and Seth.
Popcorn at a battleship. We love
4-25 lead. Reese Davis, LaFonso Ellis, Brooke Weisbrod is with us as well. And Zion Williamson was terrific. Let's take a look at our From Plan to Play, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Yeah, he was absolutely sensational in the first half. 9 of 9 from the floor for 19 points, and he did it in a variety of ways. He was able to knock down the 3-ball early, and then he was magnificent on the backside of that 2-3 zone, getting on the offensive glass. In fact, Duke had 10 offensive rebounds in that first half, which led to 13 second chance points. How about Zion Williamson with 4 of those offensive rebounds, leading to 6 points off the offensive glass, and this is where he's terrific. If you don't get a body on him, he gets to that offensive glass and finishes inside. What a magnificent first half for number 1 in Blash.
It's like RJ Barrett says, his body just doesn't make any sense. Being that big and strong and so explosive.
Right.
He's been terrific. Duke has 13 second chance points, I should say, and they ended the half on a 33-12 run. Brooke, what did John Shire, Duke assistant, have to say?
Well, first thing I asked him was, how do you find and improve upon in that first half? Pretty good showing for Duke, and he said, you know, I really like the way we showed up offensively, but defensively, we need to keep Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowan's out of the paint. The last 5-6 minutes, I thought we did a good job, but that's our biggest focus going into the second half. Those guys have the great ability to drive, put the ball on the floor, and get in the paint, but we want to keep them out of there.
And Brooke, that's why I think we saw a lot of 2-3 zone from Duke there in the first half. They were intentional about trying to keep Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowan out of the lane. We'll see a lot more of it here in the second half.
This is a sellout crowd, and they've gone silent as RJ Barrett pushes the lead to 21 for the Blue Devils. Audis Toney finally gets one to go. Audis had a tough first half in terms of getting shots to go in, missing all 6 attempts, but he makes his first here in the second.
Well, we talked about in the first half how important it was for Pitt offensively to get into that ACC area, either off the drive or off the pass. That time off the drive. Well done by Audis.
RJ Barrett driving again. RJ scored a couple of quick buckets to start the second half. He's now up to 14.
That's way too easy.
16, I believe.
Way too easy on the defensive end for Pitt.
This Pitt program finds has been really in the Ducks. Zion Williamson to stealing the stuff.
Bro, I'm not certain, but I think he actually took off from the ACC.
Well, you said you wanted to get in the ACC area. That's that ACC logo.
Indeed.
Wow. Before Zion interrupted our train of thought there. This Pitt program's really been beaten up the last couple of years, but they've continued to show fight this year when they've had games that which they struggled. They certainly haven't struggled with the magnitude they did a year ago as Terrell Brown tips it back home, but still a 50-29 lead for the Blue Devils. Dunk, by the way, gave Zion his 11th 20-point game.
Finally missed a shot.
Yeah. He's been a perfect 10 for 10. Well, even Klay Thompson missed one last night, too, at some point. There's McGowan's getting into the lane, the talented freshman who was planning to play another year at Hargrave Military Academy before the Pittsburgh offer came and decided to go ahead and come to school. And, man, has he been a great find for Jeff Capel along with Xavier Johnson.
2 30-point games over his last 4 games has really raised his level in ACC play. 14 points on the year, 19 points a game in ACC play.
RJ Barrett. Another offensive rebound from Marquise Bolden, and yet another one from Jack White.
Yeah, Duke's just too big across that front line, and if you step up to help,
All three of their front liners do a great job of getting to the front of the rim, and there's just not enough bodies to get box outs on the inside for Pitt.
And Duke continues to show that zone, which Jeff was telling us today, and you watched the game on Saturday against Syracuse. It did vex the Panthers for most of the day.
Yeah.
21-point lead for the Blue Devils. 12 offensive rebounds they have, and this man is the show. One they come to see, Fonz.
Some people are big, some people are quick, some people have got hops. Zion's got all three of them. Folks, look where he takes off from. The ACC area with the offhand. Zion Williamson finishes. Oh, strong.
Back at the Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh, number 2 Duke with a commanding 52-31 lead. Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett putting on a show again, combining for 37 of Duke's 52 so far. Another freshman, Cam Reddish, with a couple of threes. He's got 6 more up.
Right.
They try to lob it over. Malik Ellison grabs it and sticks it back, and Malik with the heads-up play. Draws the foul. Those are fouls on Jack White.
Yeah, there's a really nice play design coming out of the timeout to catch Duke as the ball's moving to the left side of the floor. A little duck in on the backside of it, and those opportunities to throw lobs over the top were available. That was really well executed there by Pitt.
Malik Ellison played his first couple of seasons at St. John's. Transferred here. Felt some of the pressure to be a leader on this team. Been a little bit of an up and down season, but those freshman guards have certainly helped out. Malik continues his development, makes both free throws, 19-point game, crowd anxious for some kind of push from the Panthers. McGowan's called for the block. Second foul on Trey. You might have noticed Trey sporting a black eye. He got that with a collision in the Syracuse game on Saturday. Had to go along with the nose that he broke on the very first day of practice here. He's not afraid to stick his face in the fan.
Yes.
These two tough guards will fit into the Pittsburgh legacy of guards who are tough. Great pass, and Tony had it knocked away. The last second, that was a good look, though, and a good run to the floor from Au'Diese Toney.
So what a pretty pass underneath. A no-looker there by Xavier Johnson. And to your point, Reese, this Pitt Panther program is in great hands with those two freshmen, because to be good in college, you have to have good guard play, and they certainly have it with those two young fellas.
Reddish almost had a steal. McGowan gets into the paint. That collision was with his own man. That's why no foul was called.
Well, what happens is, Reese, when you see your teammate on the drive and you actually establish yourself in the post area, when you see your teammate coming, you got to exit and create some space. That's 3 times now that a driver has run into Terrell Brown, number 21 White.
Williamson with a distinct weight advantage against Tony. A 19-point lead for Duke on the road. The matchup between Coach K and his former player and assistant Jeff Capel. Game day will be there on Saturday morning. We'll see one of Fonz's Wooden Award favorites in that game, in Dedrick Lawson.
Yeah, Zion Williamson is clearly the favorite, but Dedrick Lawson, were it not for Zion Williamson, is having an incredible year.
Where is R.J. Barrett on this list of Wooden Award favorites for you?
Well, I couldn't put 2 guys from the same team. Reese?
There's no rule against it.
Well, this is an established rule. Didn't you see the fine print down at the bottom?
I didn't.
There was fine print down at the bottom.
As well, there should have been. Yeah. I mean, the guy scored 24 points a game.
Oh, he's absolutely killing it. He would be 1A.
Okay, all right.
And Dedrick Lawson, he's averaging 20 points and 11 rebounds on the year. So sorry, RJ, you actually on the list. It's just that I had to compress it.
That last foul was called on Jack White as Ellison gets in there. Shot clock's at 10. Here come the Blue Devils.
Yeah, that's got to be a bounce pass.
There's Barrett.
See, I think he heard you.
Just trying to watch out for him. That's 18 for him now. Both guys, Williamson and Barrett, are averaging over 20 points per game as freshmen. In the history of the ACC, there have been only 3 other players who've averaged 20 points a game as freshmen.
That's unreal.
Can you name them?
Let's see.
It's a 21-point lead. We're playing trivia until the Panthers get a little run going here. I'll give you a chance to think as Reddish goes. We got a little time. We'll give you some time.
Well, they want me to go defense to offense right now, and Duke's defense has been stifling in that 2-3 zone. Look at the length. 6'7" and 6'8", and then they're off to the races. Not a better finisher in the country outside of Zion Williamson than R.J. Barrett.
Here's Cam Reddish. Reddish is the one you would think that when Trey Jones returns at point guard. Remember, this is a Duke team that's not playing at full strength right now. That Reddish's shots will come a little easier at times. Here is Trey, not dressing out tonight, but the shoulder continues to make progress. They continue to work rehab with him. Duke has Georgia Tech at home, and then they go to Notre Dame on Monday before coming back to Durham to take on St. John's. The hope is, so certainly no indication of exactly when, is that somewhere in that stretch that they'll have Trey Jones available again running. Coach K telling us tonight that they've learned some things that will help when Trey's off the floor, when other guys are off too. Javin DeLaurier, after making 19 in a row coming into the game, has missed his only 2 field goal attempts tonight. McGowan's. Trey McGowan somehow got that over and around or through Zion and a host of other Duke defenders.
Tell you what, that kid can flat out get to the cup.
Yes, he can. McGowan's had a game, a 30-point game against Florida State, the upset win here, in which he made 18 of 19 free throws.
Yeah, McGowan's so good and uses that off arm there and catches the defense off balance, not ready to challenge because he shot it while he was running. Really smart play there by number 2 in white. He and R.J. Barrett have been jawing at each other over the last minute. That short little elbow there from Barrett on that last possession was a result of that.
And his first foul, R.J. was called for. Inside 14 to go. Pittsburgh in need of making a little run. There's McGowan's. 19-point game now. Let's see if the Panthers have a little defense in them. Claw their way back into it.
Plenty of time left in this game, Reese. They've got to get some stops on the defensive end and try to get this thing to single digits by about the 8-minute mark.
Zion out to Barrett. Zion with another offensive rebound. Now Reddish will get a chance. And he knocks down the 3.
There's no one boxing out for Pitt. And the one guy, if there's one guy on Duke's team that you got to box out, is Zion Williamson. That's his 5th offensive rebound now in this game.
So Fonz, you or Brooke, Zindir scores. You have any of the 3 guys as freshmen who averaged 20 in the ACC?
It wouldn't have, let's see, if I go Duke guys, it wouldn't have been.
There's one Duke guy.
One Duke guy. That would have been last year.
That's right. Marvin Bagley. That's 1. Brooke, you got to guess. Cam Reddish knocks down another shot. Reddish starting to find that stroke. 61 to 39. Okay, I'm going to quit teasing everybody. I'll give you the rest of the answers when you come back. Big Duke lead on the road against the Panthers. All right, Adnan, so Virginia likely to pull even with North Carolina. Duke also on the express route to tying the Tar Heels, who are really impressive against Virginia Tech last night. That Louisville, that one they have in the loss column, came here against Pitt.
They beat North Carolina up on their home floor.
Yeah, they did.
To get a win on the road 2 weeks ago.
Sure did. Said it right off the top. There aren't any off nights.
No.
this conference. I know people say that all the time, but you know, this is the deep league, and there was an off night last year when you got to play Pittsburgh, but with 8 of their 18 conference losses and an 0-18 regular season coming by 20 or more. They're down 22 now, but this is a different team, a young and talented one. Audis Tony returns for Jeff Capel's team. Xavier Johnson will take a break. X has 3 fouls.
I'm waiting.
Giving you a little time. I'm going to let Brooke guess one. Brooke, in case people are just joining us, the question was with Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett, both averaging well over 20 points per game. Only 3 players prior to this season have averaged 20 a game as freshmen in the ACC. Can you name them? Fonz got Marvin Bagley the third, who did it for Duke last year. You got the other 2?
You can't look at your cell phone.
Yeah, Brooke, don't look it up.
All right, how about my Chicago guy, Jabari Parker?
Ooh. That's a good guess, but incorrect.
Ooh.
Fonz,
I get a shot?
You get a shot.
And I got the assist from Lindsey Harding over here, a former Duke player. I'm like, hey, help me out, guys. What do you got?
Tell Lindsey there are no more Duke players on the list.
Okay, I'm going to go close to home here. How about my best friend from the NBA, Bryant Stiff?
That's a good guess, but also incorrect. Would you like a quick hint before I tell you? They both.
Can I go one more?
Yeah, you can go one more.
Brooke, this is for both of us. You ready? How about Carmelo Anthony from Syracuse?
He was not playing in the ACC at the time.
Oh, duh,
so
that's right.
Not
Big East,
correct.
my bad. Big East, my bad.
Same position, same school. Kenny Anderson and Mark Price.
Kenny Anderson. Wow.
Pretty good, huh?
Indeed.
It's good company, and now you've got 2 guys on the same team.
How about that?
Who are almost certain to do it this year, one would think. Barrett's only 2 points away from having 20 tonight, and Zion's already over the 20-point mark.
Unreal.
For Barrett, if he gets another bucket, it'll be his 14th 20-point game this season. It's only beat Duke's 18th game. Cam Reddish. Got a lot of banked-in shots. Had a banked-in 3 earlier tonight.
Yes, we are.
20-point lead for the second-ranked team in the country, Pittsburgh. Audis Tony going in, slapped away and stolen by R.J. Barrett. Barrett didn't really have numbers, put it up anyway, and here comes McGowan. Trey goes in, and it'll be an offensive foul. McGowan just really good at drawing charges. This time he was called for one. That'll be Trey's 3rd foul. Sports Center coming up right after we finish here in Pittsburgh. Steve Levy, John Anderson, more of the Coach K conversation with Tom Rinaldi. We were talking to him about visiting with Tom earlier. As you look at Jeff Capel, talked about how well prepared Mr. Rinaldi is. Yeah. Tiger Woods talked about his season debut on Thursday and reactions from this year's Baseball Hall of Fame inductees, which included an unprecedented election. Sports Center after the game. It's available on the ESPN app. Ariana Rivera, 100% of the vote, as it should be.
Yeah,
but
first time in history.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that no one else gotten every vote. Wilson Frame comes out with the rebound for Pitt. It looked to me as if White was the last one to touch that one. Jack White couldn't control the rebound, so Pittsburgh will have it. 23 to shoot as we're about halfway through the second half.
Reese, I really do love the guards that Coach Jeff Capel has recruited for Pittsburgh. If there's another need right away that he's got to find a knockdown perimeter jump shooter.
You know, Duke could use a little three-point shooting as well. I mean, they've got Alex O'Connell, who hasn't played a lot tonight, didn't play a lot against Virginia, was forced into some extra duty against Syracuse, but he's an excellent shooter.
Yeah, 38% from 3 on the year.
Yeah. Jack White has been mired in a terrible slump. He was shooting 40% before that started about 4 games ago. They have other guys who can make them, but just over 31% for the season is something that could be an issue in the tournament along with free throw shooting.
Yeah. Especially if they run up against a really good active zone that can take away the paint.
You know, they still scored in the 90s against Syracuse in that zone, so it's not as if, you know, when Trey Jones was hurt that it totally went away. The offense, I mean, and it will be certainly easier for them when Jones gets back.
Yeah.
Zion Williamson for three. Zion's made one tonight and had that one rim out. City and Deer, good bounce pass. Wilson frame, goes up, uses his body to protect the basketball and scores.
Very nice interior pass there.
Jarrett almost wound up in a lapse there. Marquise Bolden couldn't get it going. Here comes Pittsburgh. McGowan's scores in the paint. Coach K a little agitated and calls a timeout. Concentration and focus. I think that's what Mike wants out of his team right now.
I would say so.
Big lead. Might have gotten a little loose. How good will Duke be when Trey Jones gets back?
Well, defensively, he'll be able to get up into the basketball and guard for 94 feet. They don't really have that guy right now who has the ability to defend on one end from the point guard position and be able to set his offensive players up on the offensive end of the floor. And, man, my heart just dropped when I saw Trey run his shoulder into that leg there. And you can see the difference with Trey on the floor, 51% from the field, 44% from the field without, 35% from three, and 24% without. That's incredible.
Well, and the Syracuse loss, they were well on their way to routing the Orange with Trey Jones. He had a handful of steals, they had double-digit lead, got up to a great start, and then he got hurt and sort of got away from them. You know, we were talking to Jeff Capel today about this Duke recruiting class. Obviously, he was instrumental in putting it together. He said he was closest to R.J. Barrett and to Trey Jones. He's known Trey since he was in middle school. Saw him play football as an 8th grader because he was up recruiting his older brother Tyus. And he said he first met him, and Trey came up and told him what a huge Duke fan he was. He's R.J. Barrett. He goes into the 20-point column again with a 3-ball. He's now got 21. He and Zion with exactly the same number. But he said he'd known Trey and the family for quite some time, and that's who the relationships were the tightest with. The Jones brothers, Tyus Jones, McDonald's All-American, his most outstanding player. Final Four with Duke won the national championship in 15, and Trey, 2-time Minnesota Gatorade Player of the Year, 5-star recruit. And don't you know, he would love to go to the Final Four back in his hometown.
Oh, that would be awesome. And you talk about a guy that, we talk a lot about his defense, but we don't talk enough about how good he is on the offensive end with setting up his teammates. He's got like a 5.6 to 1 turnover ratio. He's incredible with the basketball as well.
Coach K was talking about before the game about their ability when Jones is on the floor to pick up deeper on the floor and pressure the ball more, which Pittsburgh is doing with a little 2-2-1 now. But Jones is very disruptive, as good a defensive player as there is in the country. Jack White keeps it alive. And on the floor, Marquise Bolden diving on the floor. And Marquise is going to get called for a foul for his effort.
About Marquise, though, getting on the floor, giving up his body, a guy who's experienced a lot of injuries over his career. Good to see him healthy, and he's sacrificing his body, trying to come up with the possession for his teammates. Reese, I've been watching Cam Reddish shoot the basketball a little bit. I think he's rushing that shot. Yeah, he's not quite on balance, and he's not following through on it. He's like moving away from it, even as he's touching the ground after he lets it go. He's a lot better shooter than he's shown this year.
And Tony is fouled on the inside, and that's another one on Marquise. He quickly now picked up 4 fouls. Duke with a 17-point lead on Pittsburgh at the under-8 media timeout. We'll look ahead to the weekend in Kansas and Kentucky when you come back to the Steel City.
As we leave the court tonight in Rupp Arena, it feels like Kentucky is well prepared for the test that they will face with Kansas coming to town. They say their defense, their points in transition, what they're able to do on both sides is why they'll be ready. And yes, they are a young team. Coach Cal points that out again. They can't allow teams to hang around,
but they do think that they're growing and developing even faster than last year's team did, a team that almost made it to the Final Four.
Or Rutledge, who started Super Tuesday seeing Kentucky take care of Mississippi State. Here's some notable games in the SEC Big 12 Challenge on Saturday.
Yeah, Iowa State, Ole Miss. Iowa State was a team that didn't win a game last year in the Big 12, and everyone had them kind of off the radar to start the season, but Lindale Wigington was out there early. He's now back playing his way into it. Mario Shayok is the leading scorer in Big 12, so that would be a really good game to watch, not to mention our blockbuster game, Kansas, Kentucky. And the key to that game for Kansas is Dietrich Lawson has to stay out of foul trouble because he'll be matched up against the bull for Kentucky on the inside, Reed Travis.
The bull and the bear. Although I tell you, you call Zion Williamson a bull if you want to, but I've described him by saying I think he could dance on a light bulb and not crack the glass. I mean, he's light on his feet.
Yes, he is.
Kenneth Chukwuka was called for foul. Zion will go to the free throw line. That's the only thing he hasn't done tonight to make a free throw. He's 0 for 2.
What I've been impressed with him, Reese, is he's a much better on-ball defender than I thought he would be. And to your point, is partly because he can move his feet so quickly laterally.
Zion could be distracted by the zoo. Look at the Grayson Allen big hit. Gone but not forgotten by opposing crowds in the ACC.
Grayson Allen over there. Steven Adams. And always decrying Michael Jordan.
Jared Wilson frame, good shooter from 3. On East Tony, fighting for everything and going into the zoo at the other end. He'll hustle back down on defense. Take his place in the zone. Go back to that SEC Big 12 Challenge for just a second. If you award Coach of the Year based solely on who's done the most when the least was expected, Kermit Davis at Ole Miss would get some. High handoff from Marquise Bolden with the finish.
Yeah, you're right. Kermit Davis has done an incredible job. However, when you consider all the players that were out for Steve Prohm, Lindale Wigington, Cameron Lard, Solomon Young, and with a young influx of talent led by Taylor Horton Tucker, I mean, he's done a phenomenal job too, because that group, like I said earlier, was, oh my gosh.
I mean, you just have to laugh sometimes. I mean, I said it earlier, but R.J. Barrett likes to say his body just doesn't make sense. He's just so fluid and explosive for such a big man. Zion's up to 25.
So
a near perfect night from the floor.
So I think Steve Prohm will be a good candidate as well.
I too am somewhat disappointed that ball went out of bounds, because we would have had a highlight reel moment coming right there. Big Zion have been able to control that steal. It's the 10th time this season that Barrett and Williamson have each scored 20 points in a game.
I just want to let you know, though, I saw you shudder just a little bit as Zion was coming this way. I had your back. I would protect you, bro.
I know it. We're teammates.
Okay. Just want you to know.
Man, our H should be ducking under this table if he comes over this way. Shot clock's at 7. That was a little veteran Trey McGowan's move. You see him use that offhand to kind of control his defender.
Yes, it was. I am really impressed with his and Xavier Johnson's ability to be able to attack and finish at the rim oversized.
I know that they aren't a match for Duke right now, but I think those two guards are going to have to be dealt with in this league for the next several years. Barrett rolls in a 3. And RJ's now 3 of 7 from behind the arc, and he's right on his average at 24.
When he's knocking down the 3 ball, you can forget it, because then he's unguardable.
Duke 7 of 21 from behind the arc. That's only slightly better than their season average. Pitt, meanwhile, 2 of 11. Pitt's not a great three-point shooting team either. Just under 34% on the season. Alex O'Connell is coming to check into the game as Zion has just picked up his 4th. With just over 5 minutes to play here in Pittsburgh. Going to be it for the night for the big fella?
Yeah, I think you should put a towel on that guy and put some ice on his knees right away. Let's put in a good night's work.
City and Deer, who is a graduate transfer from New Mexico State, said that after getting his degree in business administration, wanted to see something different, see a little different style of competition, and getting to play in the ACC has been a solid piece for Jeff Capel, averaging about 5 points, a couple of assists a game.
He missed about 4 games with a leg injury and really kind of working his way back.
McGowan's with the steal, and he tried to stuff it over everybody, and he could get it back and settle it down.
We've seen some incredible missed dunks tonight, by the way.
That's the next step for Pitt, turning those spectacular misses into spectacular makes. They'll do it with Capel at the helm.
Indeed.
And they'll have more moments this season, I think. They've already had a couple. Win over Florida State and Louisville.
Yes, big wins. Louisville's playing great, 4-1, and tied for second in the league.
Record's going to drop to 12-7 by the end of the night. But Pitt also had a couple of one-point losses, most notably to Iowa.
Yeah. Right there in that game, the youth and inexperience of their team couldn't quite close.
Reddish, quick catch and shoot. Delorier keeps it alive. But then Deer's coming the other way. He gets by Jack White. City with a bucket.
I'll tell you what, for what this team can't do in terms of jump shot making ability, they make up for it with their ability to finish in the lane. Wow.
Looked over at Pitt's bench. We talked a lot about Jeff Capel. His brother Jason's on staff there as well. Jason was working with us. And I said, what were you thinking when you're broadcasting? You go home a winner every night. He said only one guy could have gotten me out of the broadcast booth. It was his big brother Jeff. As Delorier's foul as he tries to go up. A 16-point lead, 3:55 remaining to be played here on Super Tuesday from Pittsburgh.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college.
Well, first of all, Zion is not done for the night. He's back.
Right.
And those two ridiculous forces of nature who are likely to have their names called very early in the upcoming NBA draft put up 49 points this game tonight, almost as many as Pitt has.
Yeah, Pitt's only scored 8 more.
You know what, second half finds Pitt's shot 58% from the floor.
Yeah.
They outscored Duke in the second half by 3, but they were down 19 at the break, so they really haven't made a push at Duke, but they've certainly shown some resolve and some toughness to continue to play hard.
Yeah, when Pitt's been able to get some stops on the defensive end, they've been able to get out in transition and allow their 3 guards to be able to attack off the bounce. That's been a good formula for them here in the second half.
Delorier rolls one in. You look at the top prospects, NBA mock draft. Do you agree with all of these?
Yeah, the only one I wasn't so sure about is Nasir Little, and part of that is back in our day when you were a lottery pick, you were expected to be able to produce right away. Christian Laettner, of course, was in my class in 1992. It's a little different now is, of course, they kind of project ahead for a player. So I like all 4 of the 5 guys. I'm not so sure about Nasir Little, although he's starting to play really well for Carolina.
Like Ja Morant from Murray State. As you look at the 92 draft class, that's a good starting 5 right there. You and Shaq, Zoe, and Laettner, Jimmy Jackson.
Yeah, unreal. Except I didn't get a ring. The first 2 guys did. The first one's good. First one has a few.
Yeah, he's got several.
Yes. It's a privilege and an honor being drafted in the same class with those guys.
And all of you guys there, obviously, in that different eras, established yourself over a period of time in college basketball. And Trey McGowan just fouled out of this game. And that's a different deal. Now, and that's one of the things that Coach K talks about is that they want to give the players the same type of treatment, same type of information about recovery, nutrition, all of the sports medicine, sports science type things that the better franchises in the NBA do for their players.
Yeah, and I think extremely beneficial. I mean, we can see it in that video that we watched on Duke, and it really does aid with your rest and recovery. I love the fact that Coach K approaches it from they want to eliminate the possibility for injury as much as possible, and that just you combine that with the type of talent that he gets year in and year out. That's why they've done so well.
This group too. Look, it's early. You don't know how it's going to unfold, but Coach K was talking about how close Zion and R.J. Barrett are. That's not to imply that some of his other classes with the one and dones didn't have guys who were close. They've got a unique relationship. There doesn't seem to be any friction or jealousy over who's getting more shots or more attention or who's going to be #1 in the draft, all of that type of thing. You know, Zion deflects a lot of the attention. Ian would have the opportunity to do a lot more things if he wanted to, in terms of, you know, media opportunities, interviews, stuff like that. He deflects a lot of that.
Yeah, I think they have a healthy relationship too, because I've seen them in games get on each other when one of them has made a mistake or maybe didn't pass the ball when the other was open. And so, you know, as positive as they are with each other, Love has both a positive and a negative side. I like how they challenge each other to be better.
You mean sort of like Ashton Higgins of Kentucky did to, I think it was Keldon Johnson then Saturday against Auburn, and told him to wake up, and with his choice words mixed in.
That's how it has to be. Talk about a guy that can guard. How about Ashton Higgins?
Yeah,
my goodness.
Artie's Tony, another freshman. We've talked a lot about Johnson and McGowan. They're really high on Tony, too. He's been a terrific rebounder for them already. And
6'6", long arms, undersized, can really rebound the basketball. He's got a great nose for it, too. I love smaller guys who know how to rebound outside of their area. Artie's Tony is one of those guys.
The tough guys come from North Alabama. Artie's from Huntsville.
Nice.
Johnson loses it on the way to the bucket. The bounce pass to Zion. Barrett. And those two buddies hook up. Another assist for Zion Williamson.
I've still been amazed by those two still being in the ballgame, Reese. I literally thought that Zion was going to be done when he went out before the 4-minute timeout, and I'm sure I would take that chance.
Tony and Bolden go to the floor. John Gaffney, the official, went with him.
You see that, though? He took that charge really well, Gaffney. Good for him.
John stood his ground in there.
Watch this. Folks, watch the official underneath here as they're tied up. This is how you do it. You take a little bit of it, and then you fall down. That was really well executed by John Gaffney.
Didn't even lose the whistle out of his mouth.
Had his legs in the air to really kind of sell it. That was well done.
Figure after the week officials have had in all sports, might be good to give them a little love here, right? Pitt still scrapping. As to answering the question as to why those guys were still on the floor, I think Coach K didn't like the way there was a stretch of play after they got about a 20-point lead. He's wanting to emphasize the play every possession with the same type of focus. I won't say intensity. I'm not saying they weren't trying, but focus is probably.
Yeah, coaches can be that way too. If it's a big lead, reason all of a sudden it gets under 20, you're like kind of
they get nervous. We mentioned this earlier. Here's what Duke has coming up. We don't know exactly when in this stretch, or even if in this stretch for sure they'll get Trey Jones back. They're hopeful. Certainly, I'm sure they would like to get him back before the showdown of a rematch at Virginia on February 9th.
Yeah, I don't see anyone challenging them until they meet Virginia, although St. John's will be interesting because Shamori Pons can flat out get buckets, and he can drop 30 on you at any moment. And St. John's, unlike Pitt, have the ability to drive it and get to the front of the rim, and they can knock down the 3-ball as well, so that will not be an easy game.
Xavier Johnson kicks it out. Tony misses. Terrell Brown.
And Reese, I think as this Pitt team goes forward, I love the toughness, the hustle. I love their guard play. We just talked about Adise Tony as well as their small forward. They've got to get a lot more production out of Terrell Brown. I had them in this game last year, and he's very skilled around the rim, but He's got to get on that offensive glass, get him some second chance points. He's got to post hard inside, demand the ball on the interior, because he's actually quite skilled, but he's not really established himself on the offensive end this game. I think he can, especially at 6'10", 230 pounds.
He's a sophomore, been a good shot blocker. He's got 6 double-figure games tonight.
It was kind of a quiet one, though.
Yes, it was.
We need a loud one from number 21 in white, and he's capable.
Inside a minute to go, Duke going to go to 16-2, 5-1 in the ACC. That'll match North Carolina and Virginia, as soon as Virginia went ahead and finished off its game, which I believe they are in the process or have done. Alex O'Connell gets up a 3-ball. Reddish chases it down. And then Reddish a foul in the backcourt against Jared Wilson Frame with 31.9 to go.
Reese, the mantra from Coach Jeff Capel with this team was be tough and competitive, and they could have laid down in the last 2 minutes of this game at any point, but I appreciate the fact that Pitt's continued to scrap for every little single ball, and it really sends a message of what this young team is about.
And here's what Jeff's team has coming up, and it's not going to be easy. A couple of road trips at Louisville on Saturday. The Cardinals are likely to be in a bad mood after what happened to them when they visited Pittsburgh here. Then Clemson, a Syracuse team whose style is not conducive for Pitt's offense. Road trip to Wake Forest and then North Carolina State. So it'll be a challenge. And Jeff told us today this is what he worries about this time of year, with the intensity and the physical demands and the mental demands, both academically and athletically, is when freshmen sometimes hit the wall.
Yeah, and it can't happen, but the one thing that I've seen from this group is a level of toughness that obviously I didn't see in this group that played against Duke last year. And so if there is a positive, it's that they really compete.
There is energy and hope in the building for Pittsburgh and the future, but there are championship aspirations for the Duke Blue Devils, and they certainly followed up their impressive win at home against Virginia on Saturday night with a very mature performance, and an excellent one from Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett particularly, and Duke generally, as the Blue Devils will get out of here with a 15-point win. Mike Krzyzewski beats his former point guard and assistant coach Jeff Capel. 79-64 the final. Coming up next, Sports Center, Steve Levy and John Anderson, your hosts. For LaFonso Ellis and Weisbrod and our entire crew, I'm Reese Davis. Thanks for watching. Good night from Pittsburgh as we go off to Sports Center.